Hello, history buffs, time travelers, and scholars. We have gathered some facts from the past that'll make you question humanity's choices. King Henry VIII's unique servants. King Henry VIII of England had some rather unusual servants known as the Grooms of Stool. Their job? To wipe the king's bottom after he used the bathroom. Talk about a royal duty. Interestingly, during his reign, Henry was so appreciative of their service that he knighted all 4 of them. It's hard to imagine such a job today, but in the Tudor court, it was a position of significant trust and responsibility. This quirky piece of history highlights the eccentricities of royal life and the often overlooked roles that keep a king comfortable. Napoleon Bonaparte wrote a romantic novel. You bet. Surprise. The famed military leader. Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't just about battles and strategies, he also dabbled in romance. He wrote a novel called Clisson et Eugénie, which tells the story of a soldier and his beloved. The twist? His real-life relationship with Eugénie Désirée Clary, who was once his fiancée, inspired the tale. This heartfelt story reveals a softer side of the fierce emperor, proving that even the greatest leaders have a romantic streak. Who knew Napoleon had a flair for love stories? Charlie Chaplin took 20th place in a look-alike contest. Can you believe it? The legendary Charlie Chaplin decided to enter a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest and ended up in 20th place. It's a hilarious twist considering he was the real deal. The funny part? He didn't wear his iconic boots or mustache while strutting his stuff, so he may not have looked quite the same. Talk about a case of not being recognized. Even the man known for making millions laugh couldn't win a contest in his honor. Just goes to show, sometimes even stars have off days. Russia ran out of vodka celebrating World War II's end. Can you imagine a celebration so big that it wipes out an entire nation's vodka supply? Well, that's exactly what happened in Russia after World War II. When the long and grueling war finally came to an end, street parties erupted across the Soviet Union, with people dancing, singing, and toasting to peace. The festivities were so wild that the country's entire vodka stockpile was completely drained just 22 hours after the celebrations kicked off. Talk about a party. It's hard to believe that a nation known for its vodka could run out so quickly, but when you're celebrating the end of a war, it seems anything is possible. William Shakespeare wrote his own epitaph? You bet. When the legendary poet William Shakespeare passed away on April 23, 1616, he made sure to have the last word, literally. His grave was covered by a stone slab featuring an epitaph he penned himself. Talk about being prepared. The epitaph serves as a curse for anyone daring enough to disturb his resting place. It reads, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones." Seems like Shakespeare wasn't just a master of words in life. He was a clever one in death, too. Ancient Asia's unusual execution method. In ancient Asia, one of the most shocking forms of execution was death by elephant. These massive creatures were trained to perform gruesome tasks such as slowly breaking bones, crushing skulls, or even twisting off limbs. Some elephants were even fitted with large blades on their tusks for a more dramatic finish. Surprisingly, this brutal method of execution continued to be used in some parts of Asia all the way into the late 19th century. This chilling practice serves as a reminder of the darker side of history and how different cultures approached justice in their time. Turkeys were worshipped like gods. Did you know that turkeys were once worshipped like gods? Yep, you heard that right. Around 300 BC, the Maya civilization saw turkeys as more than just a bird. They believed these creatures carried the spirit of the gods. Turkeys were considered so special that they were often treated with the same respect and honor as royalty. It's kind of funny, especially when you think about them now being the centerpiece of Thanksgiving dinners. From divine status to dinner table star, turkeys have had quite the journey through history. Using forks was considered sacrilegious. Did you know that using forks was once considered a big no-no? Back in the day, people thought it was sacrilegious. Why? Well, forks kind of look like little artificial hands, and some folks believed that using them was an offense to God. Can you imagine eating spaghetti without a fork now? It's hard to believe that something we use every day was once seen as something so controversial. Luckily, forks eventually made their way into everyone's kitchen drawers, and now they're a dining table must-have. Mary really had a little lamb. Did you know the nursery rhyme, "Mary Had a Little Lamb," is based on a real story? Mary Sawyer, an 11-year-old girl from Boston, actually had a pet lamb. One day, her lamb decided to follow her to school, just like in the rhyme. Mary's classmates were amazed, and the story of her lamb became famous. It's funny to think that a little girl's mischievous pet could inspire a song that's been sung by kids for generations. So, next time you hear that rhyme, remember, it really happened. The very first light bulb came before Edison. When asked who invented the first light bulb, most people think of Thomas Edison. But the truth is, a guy named Warren de la Rue created it about 40 years before Edison. While Edison is famous for perfecting the light bulb, he wasn't the original inventor. In fact, he held 1,093 patents, but many were improvements on others' ideas, not his own. So next time you flip a light switch, give a little nod to de la Rue, the true light bulb pioneer. Cars were never invented in the US. Think cars were invented in the US? Not quite. The first automobile actually came from Europe. Engineers Emile Levasseur and Carl Benz were the masterminds behind the earliest cars. In fact, in 1886, Carl Benz patented the very first automobile, way before Henry Ford made his Model T in 1908. While Ford made cars more accessible with mass production, it was Benz who got the wheels rolling, literally, on this life-changing invention. So, Europe gets the credit for kickstarting the car revolution. A trial against tomatoes. Believe it or not, tomatoes were once put on trial. Back in 1820, people thought these juicy red fruits were poisonous. The whole town of Salem, New Jersey, was convinced tomatoes were evil. Enter Robert Gibbon Johnson, who wanted to prove them wrong. In front of a large crowd, he boldly ate an entire basket of tomatoes. Everyone waited for something terrible to happen, but nothing did. Johnson's daring stunt helped squash the tomato rumors, and people soon realized the fruit was safe and delicious. George Washington owned a whiskey distillery. After stepping down as president, George Washington didn't slow down. He opened his own whiskey distillery. By 1799, it was the largest in the country, producing about 11,000 gallons of whiskey. Sadly, the business fizzled out after his death, but it showed Washington's knack for leadership extended to business too. A horse for senator? Yep, it almost happened. Roman Emperor Caligula didn't just love his horse Incitatus, he really loved him. So much so that he almost made him a senator. Caligula gave his beloved horse an ivory manger to sleep in and even assigned him his own servants. Sound strange? Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg with Caligula. He had a knack for doing some pretty wild things, and his close bond with Incitatus was one of them. Politics with hooves? It almost happened. Nipple piercings in Victorian England. Yep, you read that right. Nipple piercings were the hot trend among upper-class ladies in Victorian England. The trendsetter? Queen Isabella of Bavaria. She loved wearing dresses with necklines that plunged to the waist, showing off her diamond-encrusted nipple piercings. Aristocratic women soon followed her lead, attaching gold chains between their piercings, thinking it would help their breasts grow evenly. Who knew Victorian fashion could be this bold? Lord Byron had a bear as a roommate. Forget dogs and cats. Poet Lord Byron took things up a notch with his pet bear. While studying at Cambridge, Byron wasn't allowed to bring his favorite dog, so he did the next best thing. He brought a tame bear to live in his dorm room. Byron loved animals, and his collection was pretty wild, including 2 mastiffs, a fox, and even monkeys. Imagine walking to class and passing a bear in the hallway. George Washington wasn't the first face on the $1 bill. Although George Washington was the first president, he wasn't the first person to appear on the $1 bill. That honor goes to Salmon P. Chase, the Secretary of the Treasury during the Civil War. Chase designed the country's first banknotes, and his face was front and center on the very first $1 bill issued in 1862. Horoscopes linked to a serial killer? You bet. Get ready for a wild twist in the world of horoscopes. On April 16, 1968, a French newspaper ran an ad inviting people to join a special experiment. All they had to do was send in their name, birth date, and place, and they'd receive a 10-page personality profile and personalized horoscope. But here's the shocking part. The astrologer created a chart for a real person, born on January 17, 1897, in Auxerre at 3 a.m., Dr. Marcel Petiot. He wasn't just any ordinary person. Petiot was a notorious serial killer who claimed over 60 victims. Talk about a creepy connection. Women banned from smoking in public? You bet. Back in 1908, things were pretty strict for women in New York City, especially when it came to smoking. Katie Muchaley made headlines when she was arrested for lighting a cigarette by striking a match against a wall, an act that violated the Sullivan Ordinance, a city law that banned women from smoking in public. Talk about unfair. But just 2 weeks later, the mayor stepped in and vetoed the ordinance, paving the way for women to enjoy their smokes without fear of arrest. It's hard to believe that a simple cigarette caused such a stir. Elvis Presley's struggles with constipation and weight. Even the king of rock and roll had his struggles. Elvis Presley faced chronic constipation and obesity, which really bothered him. His doctor, George Nicopolis, revealed that despite trying various treatments, including a colostomy, Elvis just wouldn't budge. This ongoing issue upset the iconic singer, and sadly, it's believed that untreated constipation contributed to his untimely death. It's a surprising twist for someone so famous and vibrant, proof that even legends face real-life health challenges. Who knew the king had such a heavy burden behind those dazzling performances? Alan Turing, genius and almost an Olympic runner. Alan Turing is well known as the father of artificial intelligence and computer science. But did you know he was also a pretty decent runner? While he wasn't exactly winning marathons, he definitely knew how to stay fit. As part of his unique training regimen, Turing would jog an impressive 50 kilometers back and forth between Ely and Cambridge. Just picture it, a brilliant mind racing along the scenic countryside, possibly dreaming up the next big tech breakthrough. In 1949, he decided to put his running skills to the test by entering a marathon. He finished with a time of 2 hours, 46 minutes, and 3 seconds, only 11 minutes longer than that year's Olympic champion. Talk about a close call. It's a bit funny to think that the man who cracked codes and built the foundations of modern computing could almost outrun the best athletes in the world. Tug of war, an Olympic showdown. Can you believe that tug of war was once an Olympic sport? Yep, it was part of the Olympic Games from 1900 to 1920, making appearances at 5 different Summer Olympics. Imagine athletes not just racing, but pulling their hearts out in a good old-fashioned tug of war. The British team really flexed their muscles, winning the most medals, 5 in total. The USA wasn't far behind, pulling in 3 medals. It's a bit wild to think that while today's Olympics focus on sleek athletes and high-tech sports, they once celebrated a classic playground game. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll see it make a comeback for some fun in the arena. Ben Franklin's basement mystery. In 1998, a surprising discovery was made in the basement of Ben Franklin's house. 1,200 bones from about 10 human bodies. Before you imagine a murder mystery involving one of America's founding fathers, here's the twist. These bones were used for the study of human anatomy. Franklin, known for his curious mind, was a strong supporter of scientific exploration. So, while it may sound like something out of a thrilling novel, this find was all in the name of science. Just another fascinating chapter in the life of a man who helped shape a nation. The tragic balloon bomb of 1945. In 1945, a balloon bomb launched by Japan landed in Oregon, leading to a heartbreaking incident. The bomb fell on a woman and 5 children, tragically resulting in their deaths when it exploded. This shocking event marked the only World War II casualties on U.S. soil. While many think of battles overseas, this serves as a somber reminder of the war's far-reaching impact. Ancient Asia's unusual execution method. In ancient Asia, One of the most shocking forms of execution was death by elephant. These massive creatures were trained to perform gruesome tasks, such as slowly breaking bones, crushing skulls, or even twisting off limbs. Some elephants were even fitted with large blades on their tusks for a more dramatic finish. Surprisingly, this brutal method of execution continued to be used in some parts of Asia, all the way into the late 19th century. The strange delicacy of the 16th century. In the 16th century, the wealthy elite had a bizarre culinary practice. They actually ate dead bodies. It was rumored that these cadavers had the power to cure various diseases. Can you imagine dining on a mummy meal? The highest delicacy at the time was Egyptian mummies, which were thought to hold special healing properties. Thanks for sticking around for these absurd history facts. If you enjoyed this wild ride through time, give us a thumbs up and subscribe, because let's be honest, history is way more fun when it's a little crazy.